Good morning and welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg. It's the 22nd day of April 2025 and welcome to our show today. Today I have on John Tatar, the amazing Mr. Tatar, who was a colonel in the Army as well as a teacher of history and the Constitution. And I got to tell you, I love my Tuesdays because I get smarter every day that John Tatar is on my show because he's always teaching me stuff. So we're going to get right at it here today. Morning, John. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yes, the czar of intelligence.
Sun is shining. It's a beautiful day outside today.
Oh, that's awesome. So what do you think about the news that came out yesterday on the Pope dying on the same day that Rome was born on April 21?
On Easter. That's a very interesting time period.
That's very, very interesting.
And he's supposedly the most evil pope in the world.
Probably, and he was standing with probably the next most evil person on the world, J.D. Vance, and I don't care what kind of crap's coming out of his mouth. I don't like J.D. Vance, okay? It's like he had too many ties to Peter Thiel, Palantir, and I got a sneaking suspicion that he's Pence #2 and basically got forced on President Trump in some way or another. So I don't know, but I don't like his background. I mean, there's a pattern there, and I don't believe what comes out of people's mouths. Generally, I want to look at the patterns. So I want to look at something first this morning. I know we're going to talk about democracy. I hate that word, as opposed to republic. But let's look at this. I got a post I want to bring up that I think is pretty significant because we're seeing all sorts of our rights being eroded by the way these people are operating. The Vigilant Fox posted this, and it says, Stephen Miller opened an absolutely ripping into SCOTUS for a 7-2 ruling that blocked the deportation of the Venezuelan gang members tied to Tren de Agua. So anyhow, I want you to listen to this, guys, because this really shows how off the rails this nation has gotten. But I think we're bringing it back on. But let's listen to this.
You have, in this case, illegal aliens from Venezuela sent here by Maduro who are members of a foreign terrorist organization, Tren de Agua, an organization that the intelligence community has found is operating at the direction of a hostile, adversarial foreign regime carrying out criminal enterprises to destabilize the political system in the United States. Those are the facts when it comes to TDA. So they're all illegal, they're all gang members, they're all foreign terrorists. And now we are being told that they cannot be expelled from our country without an extraordinary amount of individualized adjudication at the district court, circuit court, Supreme Court, up and down, up and down, up and down. No American citizen receives this level of so-called due process. This isn't due process. This is called infinity process to keep you here forever. Yeah. That's what this is.
Oh no, it's crazy.
No American citizen charged with a crime, with a serious crime inside the United States, a U.S.-born American citizen receives this kind of process. Millions of dollars in free legal services, representation at every single level. Do you think that there is any, for example, any American citizen who was persecuted, who was innocent related to January 6th? Do you think they could just get this kind of relief, this kind of process? No. It was never available to them. Yeah. The whole system was rigged against them, just like it's rigged in favor of illegal alien invaders.
I love this guy. I think he's brilliant. He's convicted. He knows the law, the truth, and he's just calling it out there. How come we are like the lowest rung on the ladder for anyone in the government to give a rip about? American citizens. We're like the second-class citizens here, and it's a mafia, like they're kind of like protecting their global crime syndicate.
Because we put up with it.
Thank you.
Because we want it to happen. It wouldn't happen if we chose it not to happen. But we have allowed the government to do what they've been doing over these years. And we've, kind of sat back and not paid any attention to it. And now they're at a point that they think they can wield their power. And a lot of the American people who really don't know their rights sit back and say, oh my God, the Supreme Court is doing this. The Supreme Court has no power in the executive branch, has no power at all in regards to immigration and the immigration laws. That's Article 2 of the Constitution. Got to know the Constitution. How many people have we been talking to at this point in time on our broadcast, on your broadcast, that has said that I've read the Constitution, I understand? How many?
Like very few.
I would doubt many have read the Constitution.
Yes.
Oh, it's a dry document. It's not real exciting. There's nobody's getting killed in there, or no fun and no excitement and no humor and no laughter. It's a document.
It's boring. We'd rather follow the fireflies that they're sending to distract us, John. That's what this is all about.
That's right. And that's the problem that we've been going through all these years. And so now we have a Supreme Court that's out of control. Yes, they are out of control. Not only the Supreme Court, but all of the judicial system, because we have allowed the bar to take over. The bar to become, you have to be a member of the bar in order to be a member of the Supreme Court. You don't have to have logical thinking. You just have to have bar thinking. Then you can become a judge and you can rule according to what the bar wants you to rule. That's where we are right at this moment. So what are we going to do about it? First of all, I don't think Trump is listening to him, which is the kudos to Donald Trump, that he is not paying attention to the Supreme Court or the other court systems, because they really have no power to control any of what the president is doing, unless it's unconstitutional. Now, prove it's unconstitutional, that's another story, and they can't do that.
Yeah, it's just this lawfare nonsense in our injustice system. And I got to tell you, I'm working on another lawsuit right now. And I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I just decided we're going to have to do, I'm going to be the accountability manager, the executive accountability manager, and I'm doing it through lawfare. So the new one, the last one that I filed, it seems to be doing okay. I had the judge asked me to do an amended complaint, did that. New one's going to be filed either this week or next week, and it's kind of exciting.
Can you tell us who you're going after?
I don't think I want to do that yet.
All right.
But I'm going to tell you who are the top 4 biggest criminals in the state.
Oh, well, you've given that information out.
So the top 4 criminals in the state. And you know what? You're never going to hear about these things on fake stream media or alt-fake stream media. Where are you going to hear about it? Brandenburg News Network, where we take no money and we just go after bad guys. So kind of interesting. Advanced accountability happening right now in the state of Michigan. And you know what? Screw all the bad guys. That's just the way it is. They've just. So I got to tell you something else that happened yesterday that I think is absolutely hilarious before we break into what we're going to talk about. So a few weeks ago, or a week ago or so, I posted a video, and I think this is hilarious. Okay, this is funny because this just shows how programmed people are. Now, you have talked to me for how many years now, and you pretty much know me. I'm that person. So I posted this, and everybody out there is losing their minds. Oh no, Donna's falling in with them. She's compromised, blah, blah, blah. First reaction right off the bat was an emotional reaction by the village idiots out there. I'm going to say it. Okay. I got to tell you what happened here. I was in the Senate building and I saw Adam Schiff walk through the lobby of the Senate building, and I about sprinted to get over there to him to take this picture. There was no way I was going to miss this opportunity to get a picture with this guy just because I needed to do this. Okay. Said 2 words to him, got his picture. I wasn't even able to get his contact, which I would have loved to have done. I would have said, let's come on Brandenburg News Network and just talk about things that need to be talked about. Oh, like the Standard Hotel in LA, and the other things that he's been involved in that I consider to be high crimes of treason and such. I wouldn't have missed that opportunity for the world. The village idiots out there absolutely lost their mind. Oh no, Donna's turn. They got to her. No. I'm going to say this right now. How are you going to fight anything if you're so much of a coward that you can't face the enemy? Somebody please explain this to me, because I couldn't believe it. And I think that this is absolutely hilarious. The reactions were priceless. And so I posted it again, because you know what? It's like, fantastic. Let's just throw this right out there and see what happens. I think it's funny.
Well, as my friend Ron has put it more than once, if you don't know the enemy's arguments, you don't know your own.
I agree with that. I don't understand running away from someone like Adam Schiff. I want him to look me in the eyes. I want to see if I can get them to talk to me, or if I could have had, if he would have been able to stand there for a couple more minutes, which he did. He just basically blew in, blew out, right? I wanted to get his contact, and I still may work on that to see if he has the inclination to come on Brandenburg News Network. Wouldn't that be fun? I'd love to interview Hillary Clinton. That would be a riot.
Well, it's the old adage, you're guilty by the company you keep.
I don't know. Yeah, 2 seconds in a Senate meeting.
That's the nonsense that we have been given. That's, people talk about Trump. I mean, you beat up on J.D. Vance because of the company he's kept in the past. We don't know. We just don't know. We're not there at the table. We got to not only hear what they say, but we've got to see what they do. It's
right.
Not what they say, it's what they do. And it's knowledge, as my t-shirt says. Knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. Right. So where do you want to go with this in life?
Well, you got to be able to face everyone, and not, how are we going to face these evils in our nation if we're afraid to sit there and talk to people, sit in our houses and just complain and bitch all day? We have to get in the fight, and we have to face them. You can't just, what are you going to do? Run? If you're going to run, that's okay. Go ahead and run. I'll go ahead and face them for you, because I'm not afraid. And I think we need to haul these questions up and hold people accountable. Denise said, "You surprised Uncle Adam," and she's laughing. I'm said, "Oh, I thought it was epic. I just about sprinted to get that picture." So, too funny. So anyhow, where are we going to go with this?
Well, I still think we, as a nation, and as some of your listeners, do not understand the difference between a democracy and a republic. I mean, everybody says, "Oh, we have a republic," but what does that really mean? What is a democracy? Because we've been told democracy forever. I mean, if you watch any old movies in the past, it's democracy. It's not republic. If you listen to these public functionaries in office, they say democracy. They don't say republic. So what's the difference? And why are we so concerned? They're not interchangeable in any way. It's like socialism versus capitalism. They're not interchangeable. One means one thing and one means another thing. But our government, over the years, and this goes back to General Washington when he became president, and the problems that went on with evil people back then, and the one in particular was Aaron Burr, who brought into the socialist society, tried to bring socialism forward. And then it was because of the French Revolution, the American Revolution. By the way, I got a lot of this information out of a book called Domestic Enemies by Daniel Greenfield. I'm giving him a plug because so far I think his book, and I haven't read the whole thing yet, But so far, I think his book is very, very good and talks a lot about history.
Do you have it there with you right now?
I do.
Let me see the cover, please. Oh, okay, I don't have that one. By Daniel Greenfield. All right, here we go. We're going to buy it right now.
And I think it's real good. So far, I've only gotten through the first chapter and the prelogue or the epilogue or whatever you want to call it at the very beginning. But he does make a lot of sense as to how we ended up at this point in time in our lives. And people don't understand history, and that's one thing that I taught a lot about was American history. If you don't understand the history of who we are and where we are and why we are what we are, you have no idea what's going on. You're totally lost in the fog. Because if you don't understand why we were given a republic and what a republic means, you don't got it. You're in the dark. And so I thought maybe we ought to talk about democracy versus republic. And if you want to put it in simple terms, as the book Domestic Enemy puts it, he calls it utopia versus freedom. And so these people that were in charge of the or trying to get into power on the utopian side, this had to do with the French Revolution. Those people wanted the government to run everything. So in America, where we have liberty to pursue our happiness without the interference of the state, or in the other side of the coin would be a radical left who promises happiness through the state. So what are you going to do? Carl Schwab has promised you're going to own nothing and be happy. He's a lefty utopian, and utopia has, I mean, you can look at the connotation of utopia, and really that terminology, if you've seen any of the past movies, what was it, Lost Horizons or something, where they had a utopian form of government or whatever, where utopia was the magic, wonderful life for everybody. That was a part of it. So utopia could have a good connotation or it could have a bad connotation. And in government, it has a bad connotation because it means government is going to tell you you're going to be happy, whether you like it or not. Happiness is an individual pursuit in America, where you decide what you think makes you happy, going to the park, playing baseball, or sitting at home, watching a movie, whatever. That's your business of what you think happiness is. But in a collective condition, you are told what it is to be happy, what you have to do, how you have to get up in the morning, how you have to go to where you have to do. That's a democracy of happiness. They don't, and we're in the middle of it. I mean, we have what we call referendums. So all the people can get together and vote whether we should have a millage increase or a tax increase. That is the democracy or the utopian form of government where we get all together. But you know what? That's mob rule, because most people follow the mob. We've seen that over years and years and years of movies and in real life, where you have a good mob going, you can lead the mob in any direction because people don't think.
Well, look at how they malign people without any evidence. All of a sudden, people in their social groups will start basically, shit posting about people and or saying things that they really don't have any evidence on. It's like, oh, I listen to this person. Who do you follow? Who do you follow? Who do you follow? I don't follow anybody. It's like I listen to people, but unless you have the receipts, you're probably a captured asset parroting someone's narrative. Tim Mead, I'm going to answer your question. Tim says, will you be running for governor again? I certainly hope so. You definitely have my vote and support. Thank you so much. You know what? Everything's being considered right now.
Everything's up in the air.
Everything's up in the air. Everything's being considered right now. Let's just say that I believe there's probably a good plan in place right now. And thank you for the support and the encouragement.
So are we striving for a perfect society, or are we striving for a free society? Who's going to tell us what that perfect society is? Who's going to tell us whether we say something that is off color or hate speech? Who's to tell us whether it's hate speech or not?
John Tatar. I say John Tatar should.
I couldn't do that even if I wanted to. Even if somebody appointed me as the hate speech person.
Oh, okay. That was a joke for all the lefties out there. That was a joke. Okay.
Who am I to say what is hate speech for me, or what is vulgar for me, or vulgar for you, and you can't do it because I think it's wrong? That's the problem. So do we strive for a perfect society where everybody walks in a straight line and doesn't use profanities and doesn't say bad things about people, and certainly never say bad things about the government? Or do we have a free society where we can express who we are and what we are? That expression that we have keeps our government, if we use it, keeps our government in line, and keeps the government in a republic form rather than allows it to become a democracy. We shouldn't have ever had a referendum on the 3 amendments to the Constitution of the state of Michigan. Look what happened. We should never have had a referendum when it came to bringing in the Michigan Constitution of 1963, because it was brought in by 0.1%. That means 51% of the people voted for it, and therefore it became our Constitution. No. Can't do that. That is an illegal document that we are following at this moment in Michigan, is the 1963 document. And that brought in the wonderful idea of making all judges have at least 5 years of practice of law, which in order to practice law, you have to have a bar license or a bar membership card. It's not a license. They don't have a license to practice law. They never did. It's a membership card. So you have to be a member of the bar in order to practice law in a court.
If you were going to do a lawsuit on holding that accountable, and is there a way to actually sue to disable the Constitution, the 1963 Constitution of Michigan?
Well, there was a lot of talk about that in our group, but the problem is that Constitution is coming up for a constitutional convention very soon. I think a year or two from now. What we do have to do is wake up the public so they understand. And when those people get chosen to go and to represent us for the new Constitution, that they have some idea what they're doing.
Well, they better be able to install it the correct way, or every single person that signs on the line is going to get sued into oblivion.
That's right. That's what
the executive manager of accountability of the state of Michigan, Donna Brandenburg.
That's what's got to happen. We got to have awake and alert people that understand the difference between a democracy and a republic and what the purpose of the republic is. Now, in a republic, we hire people we hire our servants, our butlers and our maids to take care of government, so we don't have to do the everyday voting and the nonsense. That we're supposed to have elected a cook that knows how to cook and a butler that knows how to butler, rather than these individual morons that we get into office because, well, he looks cute or she looks pretty. Oh, we got listen to the way they speak. And they get mesmerized because these people are polished in their speaking, or they have great makeup jobs on them or whatever, rather than what's underneath the hood of that person.
Oh, John, I love your shoes.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, such beautiful shoes. I love your T-shirt. Yeah.
It's fantastic. Oh my gosh. You're one of my peeps.
And this is the problem that we have. We have it as a country, and we've done this for years. Bill Clinton got in office not because he was the smartest light bulb in the box, but because he was a good-looking guy and he could speak well on the platform. And therefore, we hired him in office. And we had then allowed him to have his Monica Lewinsky days and sell our information to the Chinese. And we did the same with all the way back to Nixon, where we allowed Nixon to get the Chinese involved in the trade war, in trade with the United States. And of course, Georgie Bushy, Rat One, brought the Chinese really up forward. And that's what they want to do. They want the Chinese to take over as the world power. And they're shipped everything to China. And so everything you buy is made in China because America doesn't have any manufacturing anymore. And it's all done by the money system, by the banking system, the international banking cartels. They don't want the American people to wake up, because once the American people wake up, and we have the Constitution at this point, and it is in power, and as long as it has life and power, it will control what's going on in government. The government doesn't like that. It's too limiting for them. So we have the Supreme Court getting out there and saying, oh, the president can't do that. Hey, read the Constitution. Bar members, because you haven't read the Constitution. You don't have any idea what the Constitution says, and you have no authority to rule in the executive branch. And I'm pretty sure the president, Trump, is ignoring most of, or maybe all of what the Supreme Court or the court system is doing. And we as the people need to understand that and give him a high five that he's doing that, and he's not paying attention to the courts.
I question everything, but I got to tell you, I really love what President Trump is doing, and I'm going to tell you why. He's not playing things for, how do I say, he's playing game theory right now.
Yes.
And so this is not about coming right out and saying, well, boys and girls, we're going to be doing this today and that tomorrow and that the next day, and setting the bad guys up to sabotage them. He's going to outthink them, and he's going to know, this is the goal. I'm going to hit that goal. I said that we were returning the government to the people. How do you hit that? Do you hit it by enabling the enemy to stop you at every turn? Not unless you're stupid. And he's not stupid. He's going to hit that goal, and they're going to do it by chess moves. It's going to be incredible. He's probably got the entire game laid out, pivot points on when the bad guys do something. But I'm going to tell you what, I pretty much think that he's leading them right around by the nose ring.
Well, so you're picking on J.D. Vance. I don't know. I listened to his hillbilly, his book, and I was kind of impressed with where he came from to where he is.
That's what he says, but
well, hey, everybody says it. I'll tell you what, all about my history. You may believe it or not. It doesn't matter. The point that I'm making here is, I don't know what he is at this point. But I do know that he was chosen by President Trump. And when you're chosen by President Trump, you could be fired by President Trump.
Well, and we'll see. And perhaps
the vice president was not elected.
Perhaps he's controlled. I don't know. But I know he was in with Peter Thiel. I know that he was associated with Palantir, which is a global database.
They are all technocracy people.
They're all technocracy people.
I'm all aware of that. And so maybe I got to look at him a little more careful and not allow him to do what he's doing. But maybe he's there and he understands the process. So does Elon Musk. Does that make Elon Musk a bad guy because he's into technology? I don't know.
Well, I'm watching the whole thing. That's what I can tell you. I sit there and I'm like, this is Donna. Let's
But
see.
as long as he's not pressing the technology on the public, so now people are getting concerned about the national ID card. And over the years, you heard all of this bad stuff about national ID card, that it's going to be used as the card to do your biometrics, your all your scans, your history, your everything about you, so they can take a reading of it and know who you are exactly. Well, that's not exactly what I'm hearing from Trump. That's not the purpose of it. And according to what I hear at this point, is that national ID card is strictly for voting in the national election, and that's all. Now, if that's the case, I'm all in favor of the national ID card. If they start putting biometrics and stuff on it, I got an issue with that. But we don't know where this is going, and we do know we got to do something about the illegal aliens. So how are you going to do it? What process are you going to use at this point in time to make that thing work, to stop the illegal aliens from voting? You can't go to the states and say, okay, states, you're going to stop the illegals, because we got the state of Michigan, who has sanctuary cities, and a governor who wants those illegal aliens here, along with California and New York and all the other so-called progressive blue states that are trying to progress beyond the Constitution. We don't know who is in charge of this whole situation, how this situation is going to work. But right at the moment, the national ID card sounds like the best idea, because if the national government can control who votes in the national election, then we will not have illegal aliens voting. So that's
one of the things they were doing here is they were packing people in houses in the state of Michigan. There were some houses that had like 20, 30 people in it, in addresses and such. And it's like I think we just like super activate Tom Homan. I like Tom Homan, and I don't know, go after him. And then if the judges refuse to prosecute or refuse to uphold their oath to the Constitution, they have to be sued. They have to be prosecuted. They have to be removed.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Because
executive accountability manager activated. You lose. I think we should go into revoking citizenship for some of this stuff too. I really do, because there's got to be a way to have bite that absolutely that there's consequences to actions. Are you
talking about revoking citizenship for who? American citizens can't do that, but you can hold them for treason. That's a better one.
We'll hold them for treason and give them a way out. How about this? We hold them for treason, give them a plea deal, use the stupid plea deals, which should be, and say, we can hold you for treason and you can be stripped of your citizenship off here.
You can't be stripped of your citizenship. You can't.
All right. Well, it's you're wrecking my perfect world here, John.
Yeah, but you can be held for treason. Well, we either got to follow the Constitution or not follow the Constitution.
Oh, I know.
So we got to follow the Constitution the best way we can. I know President Trump is on the edge in some cases on the Constitution, where he's doing things that may not be quite perfect, but we got to clean up the crap.
Well, yeah, but look at President Trump. He's like gonna like take over Greenland. He says all sorts of things.
The bigger shovel that we have to get rid of the crap, the better it's going to be.
Right.
So let's do that. Let's concentrate on that. Should the government solve our problems?
No.
Or let us figure out our individual solutions?
Everything the government touches goes to crap.
Well, if the government solves our problems, then we go back to the utopia form of government.
Right. Absolutely not.
So we want to be able to solve our own problems. So then we come down to the individual citizen in our country. And that individual citizen has a problem with the neighbor. So what does the individual citizen do? Calls the government up to come and help him. Calls the ordinance officer up to come and help him. Calls the police department to come and help him. What if he went to the neighbor next door and tried to have a discussion with the neighbor, or have the neighbor over for tea and crumpets or whatever you want to do, or a beer, and sit down and discuss the situation before you involve the government. Get the government out of your life.
Diplomacy and it exercise some diplomacy, but that requires communication skills.
Oh,
but I think that's the crux of the problem there too. But you can go and talk to somebody. We had a neighbor and they were having a huge, I don't know, gathering one night, and it was 1:00 and they got kind of rowdy out there. I just called over and said, hey, I don't know if you know that you're a little loud right now, but we're not able to sleep because it's so loud out there. They were so apologetic. I'm so sorry. Didn't even think about it. Get about 4 beers in you, and the volume goes up rapidly.
You live in the middle of nowhere and you have noise from your neighbors.
That was a good party, wasn't it?
It must have been a big wild party.
I was in bed, so I don't know.
I know I used to have a band. Somebody brought this up a couple of days over Easter when we had a big party over here. And I would play outside on the patio. We had 5-piece, and we would do rock and roll and stuff like that. And then we would play in the basement, and my dad would run around, shut all the windows in the house, so we wouldn't disturb the neighbors. And he went to the neighbor and he apologized to the neighbor for my noise that I was making. The music, it was good music, I thought, but for the noise. And the neighbor said, "Oh, well, we like it. Leave the windows open." So you never know what goes on next door and what they're thinking.
Yeah, a lot of times people they just don't realize it. So you just have to remind them nicely. Yeah. And hey, I know you guys are having a lot of fun. It sounds like a lot of fun, but I got to get up in the morning and go to work. Is there a way that we can quiet things down a little bit? Or can I help in any way to assist you?
So if we get back to our democracy versus the republic, people need to start cringing when they hear the word democracy. And they need to start getting off that bandwagon, off that groupthink, mob mentality, crowd mentality, and start thinking about what the real world is all about and what do they want in life. Do they want to be controlled by government and told that they're going to be happy and own nothing? Or do they want to, in fact, figure out what their freedom is and what their happiness is and go for that? Pursue the happiness. And this is what the people in general out there have to start deciding what direction they want to go, what the direction they want America to be in.
It's a really good question that everybody can ask themselves is, what life is not assured. Well, the only thing that's assured is that when we're born, we're going to be born, we're going to pay taxes unless we don't, and then but we're going to die. And then how do you want your life how do you want to look back at your life, and what are those things that you would be proud of when you're exiting? Because we don't take anything with us. 0 things do we take. So the worship of status or money or any of that stuff, that's all temporary. That's all temporary. The things that we should be really focused on are those things that last forever, the things we do for other people, love, service, as well as service to God, in my opinion. It's not the material world. The material world is what we live in, but what are the real things that we want to achieve in life?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Oh my God, somebody's calling me right now. This is impossible. Always pick the wrong time to be calling.
But they think it's the right time.
Yeah, evidently. Well, after 9, he should be up.
That's right.
Okay, so the difference between the democracy and a republic and utopia versus freedom. Personally, I want freedom. I want to decide what I think makes me happy in life. And I don't want to be interfered with government. Right now, I'm in a pretty good position because the court systems don't want to deal with me for the most part. And it's a lot had to do with learning and understanding what my rights are, and not following or falling down every time an ordinance officer would come to my house and tell me that I got to do something, or a police department would stop me or issue a ticket or whatever. That took a long time to get that process going, and to get those people to understand that they don't really want to mess with me. And so everybody in this society could be that way. Everybody in society could stand on their own 2 feet and say, you know what, government, you're my servant, I'm not yours. I have the power, you do not. The government, the Constitution has life and power. And as long as it is life and power, we will follow the Constitution. And that comes out of Norton versus Shelby County. Because I know these things, because I've learned these things over time. And you don't learn these things through osmosis or by sleeping on the Constitution. When you go to bed, put the Constitution under your pillow and expect it to permeate into your brain. You got to read the thing and you got to understand it. And yeah, it's going to take a little time and energy, but then you can get government off your case, off your back. And pretty much they're off my back. They don't bother me. The IRS doesn't bother me. The local police departments do not bother me. Sheriff doesn't bother me. And certainly the public functionaries don't bother me. So that's what it takes. It takes the understanding and the learning of who we are and what our rights are. And I've said that 100,000 times in school. If you don't know your rights, you don't have any. And that's a fact, because they'll step all over you if they can. Because when you give power to somebody, that power goes to their head and they think that they have the strength and the authority to do whatever they want to you, and they do not. It's the exact opposite. You have the power, they have no power. So we have people in our group right now at this time that are beating the government up in many different aspects. So you have to decide in your own life what battles you want to fight and how successful you're going to be in any particular battle, and then go ahead with it. And you'll eventually get government off your back, but it's not about race. It's not about gender. It's not about religion. It's not about any of that. It's about who you are. Because we have individual freedoms in this country. We do not have group freedoms. So if you're a black person, you don't have black rights. Black Lives Matter, all that stuff is a bunch of crap. You have the same rights that I have, and I have the same rights that you have. Same with women versus men. Women have the same rights as men. And yes, there are those people in society that don't know that and will attempt to step on you and to belittle you and make you something that you're not. But if you allow it, it's going to continue. You got to stop it. And you can stop it. I'm not saying do anything violent. There's certainly the laws are on our side, and certainly the laws protect us from a runaway government. And Downs versus Bidwell basically spells it out and says laws are not for the authors of the law, because we are the sovereign. And since we are the sovereign and we write the laws do not apply to us. They apply to the government. But we, over time, have given those freedoms and those authorities to these people that we call authority, or what do we call them? Officials, leaders. No, they're none of that. They're your public servants, or they're public functionaries. They have a function in government. And that all comes from Norton versus Shelby County. So we as the individuals in our country have to go through the process of learning this stuff. It's not easy.
What's the case that says just because they say it doesn't mean it's so?
That is
Downs versus Bidville?
No, Women's Reproductive Service.
Okay.
Webster versus Women's Reproductive Service.
What was the first word?
Women's.
Sorry.
Webster.
Webster?
Webster versus Women's Reproductive Services. Basically says just because you say it so doesn't make it so. And just because a public functionary tells you that the moon is made of Swiss cheese doesn't make it so. You have to have proof and authority behind your comments. And for years, when we were battling our government years ago in the 70s and 80s, we'd get on the platform in court, and we would give them the narrative, which would be, a good narrative, but the judge would say, you have no authority behind your narrative. You got a great narrative, but no authority behind it. And that's what a lot of patriots out there still do. They have the narrative that sounds good. We are cargo on a ship, and we are in Admiralty Court. It all sounds really good. And we have a birth certificate because we are birth on a ship and all this crap. That's the narrative, but there is no authority behind it that says that this is what is going on. This is what somebody made up. This is a made up story. So if you take that kind of argument to court, the court's going to basically tell you got a great narrative, but no authority behind it. So you have to get the authority, which is what? The Constitution, the case law, which backs up the Constitution, which in fact, like Norton versus Shelby County, is the supreme law of the land. Norton versus Shelby County was a 9-0 decision, stare decisis, which means it's never been challenged. And even from 1886, it's still good law today. And Eileen Cannon used it to get rid of Jack Smith. Said, hey, your office doesn't exist, therefore you don't exist. This is good law. And people need to know what the law is, how we are supposed to operate under these laws. I agree with many, many people that reading a Supreme Court decision is treacherous and boring and all those other things, especially if you're reading it for the first time. But as you begin to read over time, it's not so bad. You start to understand the logic and the reasoning behind it. It's like everything else. You didn't pick up a spoon the day you were born and were able to eat with a spoon. You had to learn how to do that, how to hold it, how to dip it in the bowl and stuff. This was practice. You were brought up practicing these things. So now at the age of 60 or 50, you have to start reading a Constitution and stuff. This is tough. This is mental gymnastics you have to go through. But when you put the time and energy into it for a few months, then the light starts coming through. You start to see what's going on. And that's how people need to adapt to this process of learning. It's like everything else. You went to 12 years, 13 years of school to learn how to do things, to learn how to behave with other students. That took you almost a lifetime, growing up lifetime. You didn't learn this stuff in the courts, in the school system where you should have learned it. Now you got to learn it at the age of 60, where I would rather be out playing something, tennis or riding my motorcycle or whatever. The point of the matter is you have to do it in order for you to get control of what's going on and we to get control of the government. We're going to be slaves to that.
Power Tyrant 425 says, I received this disturbing message from the clerk in Macomb County. We understand there are currently 188,000 residents in Macomb County that still have not switched their driver's licenses to the, and I can't make out the last word. So we got problems in Macomb. What?
To the enhanced driver's license, maybe.
I don't know. It starts NE, but I don't know. That's probably the new one, the new ID or whatever it is, probably the real ID. Who, if you can clarify, that would be helpful. But that's disturbing. But it's good to bring this stuff forward and figure out what's going on. You know.
Why do you have a driver's license?
Because
I'm asking.
Yeah, we shouldn't because we're traveling unless you're doing commerce.
That's right. If you're not in commerce, you don't need a driver's license.
It's just a money grab for the state. All of these unconstitutional taxes are absolutely. And you know what? President Trump set up the United States to have a complete overhaul of the taxation, the unconstitutional taxation that's going on. He really did. So that's part of his game theory, I'm pretty sure.
Are we in a perfect society or are we in a free society? This goes back to the utopia versus freedom. Are we in a free society? In a free society, we have a right to travel wherever we want by the means of transportation that's available to us at the time. This is the Supreme Court speaking. We have a right to travel. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with police officers that don't understand that. And there are a lot of them out there because they had a high school education. Then they went to police academy, and the police academy didn't teach them that. Police academy taught them how to write out a ticket and what the laws are that they have to enforce, which are laws of commerce. But the state, as well as the federal government, can only control commerce. They have no right to control our freedoms. So we need to understand that. But if we don't understand that, we can't fix that problem. It's going to continue. Going to run out and get a driver's license, as my sister said, and I love my sister, and she's real bright, but she had to get her taxes done by the 15th of April. And I said, taxes? What taxes? And so that's the difference in attitude. You're either free or you're not. Government isn't controlling me in many aspects. I do obey the speed limits. I don't drive crazy, and I don't drive drunk, and I don't do any of the stupid stuff because I don't want to screw up society. I know how to live in a republic. I know what my rights and responsibilities are. I have responsibilities, and I know that there's a consequence to my behavior. If I do something that's way out of line, hurt somebody, then that's a consequence that I'm going to have to face in the public.
Well, let's see. We've got Charlotte says they still don't get title of nobility, and it's not tickets. Leb says there's nothing more. Tickets are nothing more than a tax. That's a money grab. Karen says hard time assessing SCOTUS opinions to read them. They make it hard. Oh yeah, they hide everything out there. And this is the way. This should not be this way. There's no reason why we should have to FOIA information the way that we do and have to pay for it. We've already paid for the process. We should have this open and accessible to us because we are in fact the ones that have employed them to do this job, and they have the audacity to hide it and keep it from us, which we've paid for, and ask to have payment again. It's not right.
Well, it's not necessarily that they hide it from us. It's that they use their legal jargon that they learn in law school. But the point is that legal jargon can be understood. But you have to read a few of those before you finally figure out how it's put together and why it's put together that way. And we do it in our group every Wednesday night. This coming Wednesday, we're going to be starting with Norton versus Shelby County again. We're going to read through it. and we're going to point out the important points. So people need to come on board. People need to be part of it. If you want us to send you a copy of it, just send me an email and I'll send you a copy of Norton, the underlining in it, and you can read along with us and start learning. And that's how you get it. You start working at it. You start learning it. It's just like every other process that you did in life. And once you start getting the process down and you start understanding it, then the doors are open for you. You can do anything and not be affected by the threat of government.
I think to Karen's point, I think she's saying that it's hard to even access these opinions just to even read them.
No, it's not. You can Google almost anything. There are a few that you can. I got to admit that there are a few court cases out there that you can't get a hold of. You'd have to go to the law library or find out or be part of the legal system where you can get it online. But there are far and few between. There's enough cases out there that are powerful and say what it is.
Right. Denise says tickets are backdoor taxation, property taxes, road taxes, homeowners, and auto insurance, etc. Oh, the insurance industry is truly needs to be taken to task.
It's all about control.
Yes. Sick to death of the system. They're bleeding us dry. Our homeowners doubled because of all the floods, fires, etc. They use credit scores to punish us. It's all a racket. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're correct. Well, boys and girls, I think it's that time of the show right now that we need to move on to our days, this is going to be a good day. I've got a speaking engagement today, so that should be interesting. Nice group of people. So at any rate, is there anything else that you want to say? And then we'll say a prayer.
No, I think you said it all with your crawler underneath there.
There you go. I've got skills. I'm getting mad skills here. Being able to add tools and all that sort of thing. This is a person who doesn't know how to do things necessarily the best, but I'm always willing to dive in and try and figure it out. And then all of a sudden, new tools appear. It's great. So anyhow, let's say a prayer, and then we're going to move on to our day today. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for John and the experiences that you've given him in life and his willingness to teach us all what it is to follow the law, what the law is, and what our standing is. We are so thankful for everything that you've done for us. It's really amazing. Thank you for the day ahead of us. This is going to be a great day. I really am looking forward to all the opportunities that we all have presented to us every day to make the world a better place in service and in love to each other and especially to you. Show us what it is you want us to do today. We are your people. Yes, the answer is yes. Whatever you ask us to do, the answer is yes. Send us. We're willing, and we know that you'll give us the strength, the encouragement, the people come alongside us to do whatever it is that you ask us to do. And it's quite a journey. I'm telling you, this is what an adventure it is that we have in front of us. Very, very thankful that you've brought us into this world at this time for the circumstances around us. It's an adventure. I'll tell you that. And we ask that you give us a heart that's willing to focus on you, to give you all the glory, to not look at just the bad things for just being hopeless, but being able to look at the bad things in life that we have to attack head on. And we're thankful for that. We pray for Adam Schiff today, that he would turn his heart around and walk in repentance before you for everything that he's done. We pray that every evil deed, thought, word is brought out into the light so that it can be cleansed by you. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for us. Help us to look at the world through your eyes, because you're the true judge, you're a savior, and you're the only one that sees things exactly for how it is. The rest of us are muddling around down here. We try real hard, but you know what? We're not you. And I'm going to say right now, we don't want your job. It looks pretty horrible, actually. We're thankful for you, God Almighty, and everything you do, for your unconditional love for us, for your guidance, for fighting for us, and for being patient with us above all. We love you so very much. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Okay, boys and girls, here's that part of the show that we go to, besides the fact that Y'all should have like voted John Tatar in as governor of Michigan years ago, because I wouldn't have to do this. Okay. He would have straightened this thing out before I got here. But with that said, everyone, please go to BrandenburgForGovernor.com, because I'm the best non-conceder who's ever not conceded in the history of the United States of America. And I'd like to have a discussion with the rightful president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, about this, wearing cowboy boots. Let's see who wears them better. It'll be me. So he's a city boy. I don't think he even knows how to buy cowboy boots, but I'll help him. I'll coach him in that. So we'll see. So we're going to go have a great day today. Don't be afraid to run right into the fire. You have every right to do those things that are not unimpeded by the nonsense they put out there and say, oh, you can't do that. You have to do this. No, they don't tell you that sort of thing. Just run right into the fire and let them know you're there.
If you're going to go into the fire, you have to have an extinguisher and the fire preventing suit.
That's right. That's
don't
the armor.
Don't go into the fire unless you are capable of dealing with it.
The armor of God comes first. The Constitution and the law comes second. But they kind of work together, okay? You got to have a shield, and you got to have the sword of justice with you. So make sure you're equipped well. Good point. So have a great day today. God bless you all. God bless all those whom you love, and God bless America. And John, thanks for coming on. You're always inspiring. Always learn something from you. And I thank you so much for the graciousness that you've been with your time constantly. And I'm proud to not only be here talking every Tuesday, I'm proud to call you friend. So have a great day, guys. And we'll see you tomorrow with Liberty Essentials. And then Greg Martini is going to be back on with We the People Notices. And it's going to be a good show. I learned a lot from him too. You should tune into that one, John. If you want to come on, I'd bring you on too, because that could be an interesting conversation.
What day?
Tomorrow at 10.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right, guys, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.